All right, I think we're live. What's up, everybody? I'm a full stack developer, professional engineer, software engineer. I've been working professionally for the last 8 years, coding for the last 10 to 12 years, and I have been recently streaming my progress in making, really learning game development, specifically around a game engine called Godot, which is open source, which basically just means anyone can use it, anyone can modify it, anyone can make games with it, and you don't have to pay royalties to anyone else. So I've been working recently just on a little playground where I can build out some of the game features, do some testing, figure out kind of how I would do certain things if I were to actually develop a game in the future, which, I've bounced some ideas around, but there's nothing that's really stuck super hard yet. But as we get started here, I've done this every stream so far, just kind of walk through what I'm building, what I've built, and yeah, so we have start with a main menu, pretty typical for a game. You can continue the game, new game, load game. Load game, you're able to load different save files, you can delete save files, etc. If we start a new game here, you can see we get popped into a screen here where it's a top-down view of a 2D player. You can see this triangle polygon here is meant to represent the hitbox for a flashlight. So when I click F, the flashlight turns on. And these blue circles are zombies. So I have debug values on right now, so I can kind of see what's happening. But the main premise of what I've built so far is that you can shine your flashlight over the zombies and then you can see them. And when you don't shine your flashlight over them, or you turn the flashlight off, they disappear. And you can shoot them and they drop dead, and eventually I'll be adding more inventory items and ammo and stuff like that. But right now, recently I've been working on inventory, getting that working for the player, creating a generic inventory that can be used across players, zombies, crates, chests, whatever, boxes, whatever you want to use. And then the next thing that I kind of want to work on is being able to open up a enemy inventory, move things in between, be able to drop different items and stuff. And then from there, I'll be adding more items, adding ammo. I got some other ideas for, weapon customization. Probably would be good to add some waypoints, interesting things to do. One other thing that I've built is a chunking system. So if you go left and you go right and you go up and down, it loads the 3x3 grid around the player. Zombies load in and out. It gets saved. You can see some of the debug info down in the bottom left here. But zombie information gets saved. Oh, I think there's actually a bug, because I was able to see those zombies even when the flashlight wasn't shining on them, which is interesting. Let's see, there's a way to zoom out the... I don't know why it's not working right now. I might have broken that. Anyway, I built a chunking system, a save system, so you can load your games. And yeah, so what we're going to work on today is working more on the inventory system. I made some good progress last stream figuring out that I can store inventory nodes, really any node within a scene globally, access them. It's all references. None of it is actually values, which is super helpful because it means that I can update the inventory of the thing that passed its inventory into this inventory UI component here. I'm sure there are probably slightly better ways of doing it, but I'm finding that this is probably going to be a pretty solid way of doing it moving forward, and I can kind of reuse this pattern across a bunch of different types of things that I plan to do with both UI and also just generally with core logic for the game. Okay, so to kind of explain what I'm currently doing, let's just start up a new game here. All right, so I'm able to now open up the inventory menu. We can see that it's the player inventory. Currently no items, which is totally fine. What I'm going to work on now is when you go hover over a dead zombie, you can see this icon here pops up. It says E. I'll make that look a little more obvious, but ideally what I want to have happen is when you hover over them, press E, it opens up a second, it slides this player inventory over to the right, and it opens up a second inventory on the left here for the zombie with all the items that the zombie has, whether it be ammo, food, whatever it is that I'm going to be, whatever items I'm going to be adding. And then it allows you to either click and drag into the player inventory and vice versa, or it allows you to click on an item, and then maybe there's a button in the middle that says like move left or move right, and then kind of reorders things based on that. So I think the first order of business is to, when we press E over a dead zombie, we should see the second inventory pop up here. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that zombies actually have an inventory, because they may not. I don't think they actually do. So much like we did for player, there's an inventory object that gets instantiated when the player is created, and we'll do the same for a zombie here. So we'll create their inventory, and then when we press E, which I think is handled in pause manager, so open inventory. So when we press the button for inventory, we pause the game and we open up the inventory. I can get rid of some of these debug print statements here. So now we basically need to create a way to know when to open a dual inventory menu here. So let's first, let's see. So it's hard coded right now to open the player inventory, which is fine. We may want a component that is a dual inventory. So right now we have inventory UI, which is very simply wrapped by player inventory. So basically when player inventory scene is called, we instantiate the inventory UI, we initialize it with the player's inventory, and then the name in this case is player, and then we add that as a child to the scene here. Thanks for the spam and the distraction. I have chat messages set to read out on, like, in my headset, and I don't think it's reading out to the stream, so if I pause like that, it's probably going to be abrupt. Anyway, not to get too distracted here. So we want to basically do the same thing as we're doing here, except where we're initializing two inventories and adding both children to the scene as children of probably an HBox container that allows us to position things horizontally. So let's see, was there any? There's probably some reorganization of the folders that I want to do here. I'm going to leave it as is for now. So let's create a new UI folder here called dual inventory for now. And oops, and a new scene, which is going to be a user interface. So it'll extend a control basically, called dual inventory UI. That I is supposed to be capital. I think, no, that's good. And let's attach a script also called dual inventory UI. And here we're going to do something very similar, where we are going to almost identical, actually. The main difference is, so player, inventory, title name, and so this isn't going to work if we have other, oh, actually, we should be getting the title name based from the player itself. So let's go to the player. And from here, we will have a constant. Let's see. Do I have just a section for general? So there's save constants. Okay, let's just say, let's just call this strings for now is fine. So we'll say player inventory name, I guess, is in this case player. And then we'll have a function that exports that, get inventory name, which returns a string. So we're going to return self.player inventory name. Excuse me. So we can come into this, and instead of using inventory name, we'll do game manager dot player dot get inventory name. Cool. And then we'll also do the same in player inventory. So ideally, we won't have two of these, so we'll figure out a way to either load just player inventory or both player and something else at the same time. But for now, we'll just have it be separate because it isn't too many lines of code. Inventory name. Great. So with dual inventory here, in this scene, we want to add a child node. Let's try just a simple HBox container here. So the layout, we want it to be centered. Hey Leo, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in again. I know this is like the, I don't know, third or fourth time that you've hopped in, but I appreciate the support. How have you been the last few days? All right, so we got this HBox container here. We want the alignment to be center. We want layout mode to be center as well. Now what I want to have happen is I want to do onReady var. We'll just leave it named HBox container for now. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I wasn't sure I was going to stream today. I was super tired and wasn't feeling super great. I had a really long day yesterday, but I took a nap and had some water, feeling a lot better. So here I am. All right, so we got the HBox container scene. So instead of adding it to the child of self, we want to add the child inventory to HBox container scene. So I think for testing purposes at the moment, what we're gonna do is create a second inventory here, which will act as a way for us to just test this dual UI functionality here. Yeah, I'm good. I was a little worried there I was gonna get sick, but I think I'm okay. I think I just needed some rest. All right, so we've got that. So we need now a way to display, which means in pause manager, we just want to add a way to debug this. So debug dual inventory, and we'll say that the tree's paused. Leo, are the sound levels okay? My voice and then also the music. I got some comments on one of my last streams that the music was too loud. And then also listening back on my, just myself, I feel like my voice is kind of loud. So just let me know if it's too loud in any way. Okay, so we want to say var dual inventory equals dual, and we need to make a global class name here so we can instantiate it. So we'll say class name. Wait, class name? Is it class underscore name? Hold on. Yeah, class underscore name. Dual inventory UI. And then in pause manager, dual inventory UI dot instantiate. What are you yelling about? Oh, wait, actually this is, okay. So I will take this back. Dual inventory UI scene equals preload dual inventory UI. And we'll add it to the UI node. Okay, eventually I'll have to fix this because it's not. Wait, why are we queuing? Oh no, we don't want to do that. Hold on. I want to do this one. Eventually I'll fix this because it definitely is not the way to do this, I'm pretty sure. So I'll add dual inventory. Music is not too loud. It's like 11 out of 10, just a little too loud. Okay, I'll turn it down. Are you saying my voice is 11 out of 10 or the music was 11 out of 10? Because either way I can, it's easy to adjust. Okay. So now we need a way to open up this inventory. So for the moment, let's just add another debug value here. So in input map, we'll say add new action, debug dual inventory. Okay, 11 out of 10 for music. Cool. Well, hopefully I turned it down a little bit or I turned it down a little bit and hopefully it's better now. Okay, so we'll just say, oops. To open up the debug menu, let's just press Y. Cool, great, thanks. That's good to hear. All right, if event is input event key and event dot is action pressed debug dual inventory. Okay. Debug dual invent. Really? Okay, relax here. Relax. In game manager dot is running is game running, and not self dot is pause menu open. All right, I should create a function to handle that better. Guess I need a way then to also close the debug inventory. So we'll say dot debug dual inventory, and then we'll say close debug dual inventory get node. I think dual inventory UI. Hey, Chris. It's Godot script, GD script. So Godot is a open source game engine. So that basically means that anyone can use it for free, no royalties. You don't have to pay anyone. Some really great developers building it out. And it's a little similar to Python. If you know anything about Python, I'd say it's a mix between Python and TypeScript in that you get it's similar to the Python syntax, but you get stronger typing than Python. You've been working in a note system for 2 days? Like, to develop a note system, or are you what do you mean by that, Leo? All right, so this should close the dual inventory. So we also need to call it here, debug dual inventory. All right, so this is when we press Y. So let's see if this works. So I press Y. All right, I think it might actually be opening both of them here when I press Y, except I think it's placing both of them on top of each other is the problem I'm having right here. So I'll fix that in just a sec. Oh, you're a Python dev? Yeah, for sure. It's I mean, it takes a little getting used to. It's definitely not the same, and there's aspects of game development that are somewhat counterintuitive relative to just normal like backend programming that you do with Python or any other backend language. But it's been fun to learn, and getting better at it every day. Nice, good job, Leo. Are you just doing it for like personal project to have fun, working on it by yourself with other people? Is it for like school or something? Okay, so the HBox container is probably not respecting. I wonder actually, let me go into the inventory UI. There might be something about this that's preventing it from. Oh, actually, I think there needs to be. I think I was seeing this earlier. There needs to be a panel container as the parent of the HBox container. I wasn't totally sure why this was happening, but I do believe this was part of it. We'll give it a try. So this then needs to be updated to panel container / HBox container. All right, so we are initializing both of the inventories because we're seeing 2 debug items pop up here every time we press Y, but they're not respecting. Let's see. I'm adding both children here to the HBox container scene. Let me try. Oops, why are you? Hold on. I'm going back to control hell again, I think. Okay, let's make you full. Let's also make you full. And then the HBox container sizing. Let's see. Okay, so we do want that to fill both directions. Do we actually? Because we want this to be... Okay, let's give this a try. Just to rule it out. Oops. Okay, that adds a background, which I honestly don't hate, but we're still not getting the respected horizontal alignment that I want. You're building it for your Alluri workspace. Cool. Nice. I don't know what Alluri is. Is that like a... I feel like I've heard of it, but I... Alluri. Doesn't seem to show up online, so maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Okay, first then let's just get a couple items under this HBox container, and we'll see. Let's just say, like, let's just put a couple buttons here. Oh, AI Larry. I'm also not seeing it here. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Okay, so we've got two buttons here, and they're very small, which is fine. Let's just add some random text. Let's see, container sizing. Let's have both of these expand horizontally, so they should be 50% of the size. Oh, really? Okay. Let's go back. Let's get there. All right. Oh, it's this. That looks like two L's. Cool. Nice. Looks interesting. I'll have to check it out either later in the stream or in a bit. All right, so we have both of these displaying next to each other. I am curious what's going to happen when I try to open up the inventory. Okay, so now you're over there. So maybe that means I need to have... Let's get rid of these buttons. Let's have two panel containers. So we'll say... just copy and paste you in here. So we'll say the one on the left is for... NPC inventory, and then we'll say player inventory. And so both of these should fill, expand horizontally. I guess, is there no option for vertical expansion? Interesting. I heard someone say containers are a pain. Yeah, thanks. I know. I wish it was more like HTML, CSS. There's like a little bit of, it feels like some of it is manual, some of it's programmatic, and you can do a little bit of both. And it's like, it's very confusing with all the expanding and sizing and whatnot. I probably am not, yeah, I'm probably missing something. I feel like I'm missing something. I have to be. Otherwise, they've built a less than ideal UI system, in my opinion. It might be derived from the parent container. I'm not 100% sure. I've seen the ability to expand vertically. I'm just not sure why it's not always showing. Basically what I'm trying to do is have two UIs. So it seems like there are several new people in the chat right now. I'm working on just a little playground for game development, and I've built out a simple player inventory, and I want to be able to, when you hover over a dead zombie, for example, show on the left side the zombie inventory, on the right side the player inventory, allow you to like click and drag and move items around and whatnot. So I'm just trying to get the spacing correct here, and I think what I need to do is just kind of do what I'm doing, which feels odd. There's probably a simpler way to do this here, but manually create the two halves and then place the inventories in the middle, and then work out later how to get them, looking a little prettier. But it's all for, I'm doing all of this mostly for the like game dev programming side of it and care less about how it looks. Okay, so let's say the NPC inventory scene is hbox container / NPC inventory. Oops. Oh, come on. Don't do that. Where'd you go? Come on. There we go. So panel container, hbox container, NPC inventory, and then we'll do player inventory scene. Yeah, I'll get there. I'm already feeling way more confident than I was even a few days ago. But there's a lot to learn. But it's feeling more and more like I do a lot of coding in React and Node. And it's starting to feel more and more like that, which is nice. Okay, so for both of these, do I have them centered? Do I not have a way to do that? I don't have a way in these ones to center? Okay, well, we'll see what happens. I think they'll both display properly. There we go. Okay, cool. Nice. So that doesn't look half bad. It is not exactly how I want it, but I think I'll be able to figure out how to like click on one, drag to the other. So that's kind of our next step here, except we don't want to be using player inventory. We want to know which zombie we are hovering over. So now I need to figure out how to do that. Did I set up? Because there's a way that triggers the... We're triggering the like hover button icon thing to show up. Let me see if I can figure out where that is. So we've got the dead zombie. So we've got the inventory area collision shape. So when I'm hovered over, blah, blah, blah. So, okay. So in the player, there must be also a... Is it attached to enemy collision here? I would imagine so. No, it's on layer 2. What's layer 2? Whoops. Layer 2 is... I must have something else here then. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm calculating when the player character is over a dead zombie. Okay. Player entered inventory area. Let's search for that. Player. Whoops. What's going on? Player. Whoa, what's the problem? Empty script file? What are you talking about? What is this? Relax. Godot, relax. What is happening? Empty script file. Inventory.gd. Okay, let's get rid of it then. Inventory. Is this the empty one? Why does this even exist? Okay, are you gonna be fine now? Oh, come on. Method not, I have not seen this before. This is really... Do you keep getting created like in here or something? Why can't you... Where's open? Come on. Hold on. Let me quit VS Code real quick. Okay. And it's gonna update. Holy cow. This isn't working. What's going on here? Workspace symbol, failed method not found symbol. Maybe it's something to do with, I don't think I've searched that way before. Okay, anyway. Player entered inventory area. Is that in player? Player entered, no. That was called dead zombie. Okay, player, oh, that's just this. Self.user in area, if body's player. Oh, because it's, all right, this is, so it is looking on layer 2 or mask 2, I guess in this case, and the player itself is on layer 2. Okay, that's why. So great. What we want to do then is have a way to trigger, we'll probably just say game manager for now. I think there's probably a better way to do this, but we just want to keep track of the zombie that the player is. Let's see, dead zombie. When does this get hold on. I need to figure out, because I need to make sure that the dead zombie has... Okay, dead zombie gets created. So the dead zombie needs to be instantiated with ammo.global position. No, why did I call that ammo? Dead zombie. This all probably needs to be updated at some point as well, but we'll say it's fine for the moment. So we need to instantiate the dead zombie with the current zombie's inventory. Now, that may not go well if we free the zombie immediately after that, given we're probably going to be passing in a reference. But let's give it a try anyway. So we'll say func initialize, like we've been doing with other classes, and we'll pass in an inventory, which is of type inventory. It'll return void. Let's create an inventory here. And then we'll say self.inventory. Inventory equals I. And then this will allow us to grab the inventory for the dead zombie. We'll say get inventory. This returns an inventory. This will allow us to grab it from the game manager. So let's add a function here. Dealing with dead zombies. So we'll say set current. We'll say set hovered zombie, which this may get weird if we have the case where multiple zombies are dead in the same spot, but that's a problem for future us. It's going to return void. So we want hovered zombie is of type dead zombie. Class name dead zombie. Dead zombie. So we'll say self dot dead zombie. Is that what I called it? No, I called it hovered zombie. Already getting names mixed up. We need to pass in dead zombie, hovered zombie equals HC. Great. And this means we can pass in either a dead zombie or null in the case where we're unsetting this. So in dead zombie, when a player enters, we want to say, can we just delete all this? We want to say game manager dot set hovered zombie, pass in self. So that, and then on the flip side, we want to say game manager dot set hovered zombie is null. I think that should work. So let's give this a try here. Doesn't seem to crash the game. We should print out quickly though, just to make sure this is working. Print self.hovered zombie. Oops. Okay, dead zombie and null, as we see in the bottom left. Debug. And from here, we, can access the dead zombies inventory in dual. Let's see, where did that go? Dual inventory UI. So instead of the player's inventory, we want to say game manager. Actually, hold on. So actually, even before this, in pause manager. So I'm not loving how dependent all of these functions are on one another, but this is where you get something working and then you go back and make it better later. And since this isn't going to be a full-fledged game, doesn't need to be perfect, but basically I don't want to be able to open up this debug dual inventory menu unless I'm hovering over a zombie. So I want to say and game manager dot hovered zombie does not equal null. Great. So now we should, I mean, theoretically we should have a check and say like assert, if we're trying to instantiate this, assert hovered zombie does not equal null. And I think you can pass in a message. Yeah. Hovered zombie cannot be null. So that will make sure we don't try to pull. I mean, it's going to crash the game, but that's totally fine. So hovered zombie.get inventory. Right? Hovered zombie is a dead zombie. Yeah, get inventory. Great. And dual inventory UI. So we're going to display that. And then we want to say hovered zombie dot get inventory name, which we also haven't specified. So ideally too, we'd have like a abstract class that handles a lot of this like UI stuff for NPCs or player characters. But we are not that sophisticated yet, so we're not going to worry about it. Inventory name passes back a string. We're just going to say return self dot inventory name. And we'll define that up here. Inventory title name is zombie. Inventory title name. Great. So back to here, and theoretically, oh, I got this backwards. So we'll call this player inventory, and we'll call this zombie inventory, and then we'll say zombie inventory and player inventory. And why are you yelling? What have I done? Identifier inventory 2. Oh. Zombie inventory and player inventory. Great. So this should work. So I'm pressing Y, nothing's happening. I hover over, I press Y and it crashes. Cannot call method connect on a null value. So I assume that's related to freeing the zombie. Okay, so what are we doing when we initialize inventory UI scene? Can you like stop? Is there a way to like turn these off? Just like the error messages, I don't really care that much. Yeah, fine. Okay, so where was I? Okay, what are we doing when we're initializing this, or at least on ready? We're connecting it to action item dot get action. What else are we connecting? Okay, inventory dot connect inventory updated. So it seems like self dot inventory. Am I initializing properly? I'm initializing, saying hovered zombie dot get inventory. So it's possible at this point that hovered zombie. No, it should be available. So hovered zombie dot get inventory should still, because it's the same generic inventory that the player's using. Call method connect on a null value. It was line 37 of inventory UI. So it's inventory updated. That is not. So self.inventory is null. Let's assert that self.inventory equals is not null. Say inventory must be inventory must be not null when creating inventory UI. Okay, so we know that hovered zombie is not null, but maybe the hovered zombie inventory is null. So, we're not, okay. So when we're creating the dead zombies, this is the problem. So we should just have, when this is ready, we should have already initialized. So we'll say assert self.inventory does not equal null. Dead zombie must have not null inventory. Great. So the issue here is that in zombie, we are not initializing this. So dead zombie dot initialize with self.inventory. So this is where we might get weirdness with the queue free, because we're freeing the entire zombie itself. So I don't know if the reference to the inventory here is also going to get freed. If it does, then we need to find a way to copy. There might be a function to copy to a new object in Godot. So we can give that a try in a moment if we do run into this issue, but I think we can at least test it. Okay, so that seemed to work. Surprisingly, I'm honestly quite amazed. All right, look at that. We've got that working. So now let's initialize the zombies inventories with the same. Oh, dead zombie scene. Zombie. So let's initialize the zombies inventory with some stuff. So I'll say just inventory. We actually don't have a function for this yet, so we can to do remove just for testing purposes. we can say var item one equals item dot new. And I guess we need to pass in an ID and a name. So we'll say one foo. Item two is bar. And we'll say self.inventory.add item. Right, because that's add item to slots. Okay, so we'll say, I'll actually just do add item to next empty slot. Add item to next empty slot with item one. You seem to be yelling for some reason because expected self in class body. Oh. Unexpected identifier in class body. Okay, let's actually do this then in the ready function for the zombie. To do remove just for testing. So we'll say self.inventory.add item 1 and add item 2. Great, so we should see, if I did this correctly, 2 items appear here. And we can't drop them because it says item is null. Why is it saying item is null? Also, we don't necessarily want to be able to use and drop stuff directly from a zombie's inventory, so we'll get into updating that. But item is null. All right, so an inventory UI. Hold on a sec. In inventory UI. For anyone watching, is the timer in the bottom right here, kind of around where my mouse is that in the way of the coding that I've been doing, or is it in a perfectly fine spot? Because if it is, I'll shove it somewhere else. I've been keeping it like down in the bottom middle here, which might be a better spot. I just kind of liked it like above my video. Okay, so it's gonna say item is null when, oh, player inventory. Okay, there we go. That's an issue we have. Why are we doing, we're passing in an inventory here. Why are we ever doing player inventory? It's hilarious. I think I must have been, this must have been when I was confused, because this just needs to be self.inventory. I think that should be perfectly fine because we're just selecting what we already have, and that should apply to any inventory that we're looking at. No? Invalid get index 0 on base node inventory. So maybe that's not right. Okay, so we've got the inventory. Should be initializing it. Theoretically, it'll yell if that doesn't exist. So maybe we're trying to access that when... Maybe we should be using get of item key. Because I think that'll return null if it doesn't exist. Whereas I think accessing it might just throw an error if it doesn't exist. Is this right? Yeah, I think that should maybe work. So that's fine there. So we come in here and still thinks item is null. Okay, let's print out in dual inventory UI. Let's say print game manager dot zombie hovered zombie dot get inventory, because we might just not be accessing the right thing here. Hold on. It's just a node. Is that expected? Let's say print inventory instead. Okay, so it's got these item. Why are they nodes? I feel like, shouldn't they be items? Maybe that's just the way they print out there. But, oops. What did I do? Hold on. Why is there so much space down here? All right, so in zombie, we're creating these. Okay, so that's fine. We're creating these items. We are adding them to the next empty slot in the inventory. The dead zombie should be getting the inventory initialized. Then in dual inventory, we're grabbing the hovered zombie's inventory and initializing it with the zombie inventory here. So then we get into inventory scene UI or inventory UI. And we have an inventory, and we're even able to see the items in the inventory. Okay, maybe, what is item key? Item key is 0, item is null. These are all invalid. Like it's not adding to like a weird index here or something. Oh, I might know what the issue is. Hold on. Let's go back to the generic inventory. We might be doing something weird here. So add item to next empty slot. When we print out this inventory, it says there's ones at 0 and 1 here. Let's also then say print self.inventory, because we should then be able to see if there are items there. It's just a node. Oh, because we need to print the inventory. Okay. Try this again. Okay, it says there are nodes at 0 and 1, but item is null. Oh, is this, wait. If that does not equal null, Okay. Print self.inventory.get item key. Why is that null? Wait, null item is null. Okay, it prints, let's see. It prints the item key, which is 0. Then it prints the inventory. And then it prints oh, why am I saying get? How is this ever working? Did I like royally mess something up? Because aren't I supposed to be saying inventory.get item with item key? I'm not even sure why the indexing of the item was always going to be null in that case. Okay, invalid get index 0 on base node inventory. Ah, okay. So now we run into the same issue here. I don't know how that was working before. Unless I changed something with the inventory, but I swear this was working like a couple days ago with the player inventory. Oh, maybe it was... Wait a second. Was I doing... Hold on. If I go way back here. Oh, I was doing get items. That's why. And then I was accessing. Okay, that was kind of weird. I should just be accessing it directly from the inventory. Okay, so now that's fixed. So now I've selected foo, selected bar. We can drop these, which just throws them into oblivion. Cool. So now that we're here, I'm going to... added a debug UI debug UI for dual inventory to test passing items between zombies and player. All right, let's get that committed just so I don't lose it for some reason. And now let's figure out how to drag one item. Drag it up. Maybe that can't be a button anymore. So gotta probably make some other updates, but we essentially now want to see if we can grab foo, drag it over to player, and have it removed from zombie and added to player. So before I go on a internet search, I want to look at the inventory UI, specifically around... Oh, wait, no, I'm doing this programmatically, so that's not going to work. No, let's do an internet search. Godot for drag and drop inventory. Okay, I don't really want to look at a tutorial. So made a simple drag and drop inventory. I don't want a tutorial. So let's go to Godot for docs. Let's do this the right way. See if there's anything about drag. About drag and drop. No, okay. Let's see if a button can be dragged and dropped. Let's see what functions we have here. I don't care about theme properties. Base button, okay. Button pressed. So toggle pressed, get draw mode is hovered. No, okay, so we're probably gonna have to update everything to like panel containers or something. Panel container inherits container control. All right. Drag. I saw something about drag. Drop data. Okay, so there is stuff on a basic container. So maybe since button inherits all of this from control, we might be able to use that. Drag preview, get drag data, force drag. All right, let's just see if, so we have action button. So on action button, and this will happen globally, so we don't really want to do this long term, but for the moment, let's open up the scene. Is there a signal for dragging or something? Mouse entered, mouse exited. Draw, press, toggled. No. What about this panel container? Focus, focus, GUI input. What is this? An input event. No, that's not really what we're looking for. Whoops. Open up, please. So Godot draggable container. I don't want something from 6 years ago. Godot's drag and drop. System for control nodes. All right, great. You've shown it. But not. Oops, I don't want that from 6 years ago. Use a control node. GUI input signal. Oh, is that how you do that? So it was this GUI input signal that we were seeing here, I guess. Documentation emitted when the node receives an input event. What are all the input events? So is action, is pressed, is released. Okay, so maybe I'm looking for like is pressed and is released. All right, let's go ahead and say, let's connect this to action button, and we're just gonna print out the event when it happens. And I just want to see. Whoop. We can already see it flying by. So we've got input event mouse motion. Input event mouse motion. Got a bunch of those. What are we looking at here? Input event related to input. I don't know if that's what we want, really. So let's just disconnect that because it's not giving us any helpful information. So then control. What was it? Was it control that we were looking at? Control, and we see drag. Get drag data. How does one... Godot calls this method to get data that can be dragged or dropped onto controls that expect drop data. Returns null if there is no data to drag. Controls that want to receive drop data should implement can drop data, and drop data at position is local. Okay, so it's interesting. So it looks like these are can drop data. Oh, at position and data. What is... can... Oops. Can drop data. So this returns virtual constant. Godot calls this method to test if data from a control's get drag data can be dropped at position. At position is local to this control. Oh, can't drop data. So is that just like return type of data equals type dictionary? So would this be like item? Or would this be like type of data is item? And we'll just print at position because I don't know that it... Well, I don't know what to do with it yet, so... let's just also print out data. This is probably going to be disgusting, but... So we had can drop data. If I see the data from controls get drag data result, Godot first calls can drop data to test if data is allowed to drop at position, where at position is local to this control. So drop data. Okay, let's just also implement this. I'm realizing I don't think I want... Oh, this is gonna get... this might get really gross. This might get really gross. Because if I need to know what position I'm like dropping things at, I need to know what position any given, in this case, action button, but like literally any control node that I want to be draggable, I need to know like what is at a given position which maybe isn't as hard as I think it is, but it involves just keeping track of other stuff that I'm not currently keeping track of. So let's leave this an action button for now because I don't want to get into hold on. Print can drop data. Drop data. Position and data. And then get drag data. At position. Okay. Let's give this a try. So I don't need anything there. Let's open this up. I'm clicking on it and trying to drag, but I'm not seeing any of those drag elements here. Godot calls this method to test if param data from a controls get drag data. Oh wait, is get drag data supposed to return something? Hold on. It might. Return my data, make data. This is your custom method generating the drag data. Set drag preview. This is your custom method generating the preview of the drag data. Is set. This is your custom method generating the preview of the drag data. Make. Wait, is set drag data. Hold on. Set drag. Wait a sec. Get drag data. What are you doing? So set drag preview. A preview that will follow the mouse that should represent the data can be set with set drag preview. Okay. Good time to set the preview is in this method. So we can say set set drag preview. This might be weird, but we're going to say self because it is technically a control node. And then we're going to return self. Oh, return data is we're not even getting this called though, so I don't know how to get this to trigger. But that'll be the next step in the journey here. Honestly, we might even be able to test this in the main menu. Oops. It might override it actually because of the button. So let's take all of this here. Well, actually, margin. No, it's on the margin container though. Why don't I try this on the entire inventory itself? I just want to see if I can like get it to work anywhere where inventory is a control node. No, not getting it to trigger. When can these be called? Data from a controls. Get drag data. Get drag data. Okay. Godot calls this method to get data that can be dragged and dropped onto controls that expect drop data. It returns null if there is no data to drag. Controls that want to receive drop data should implement can drop data and drop data. So we'll just return true for all inventory UIs. And drop data. Param app position is local to this control. Drag may be forced with forced drag. Preview that will follow the mouse should represent the data. Can be set with set drag preview. Good time to set the preview is in this method. This is basically what we're seeing in the online docs. So maybe now that we're saying it can drop data always, maybe there's something about data being... I can't even get this to print though. That's the problem. And I would expect it to. Maybe the clicking... maybe the... no, but this is the parent. Maybe it's trying to click on the like children and that's why. Like instead of it clicking on inventory, it's like clicking on one of the other child containers here. But I would expect, okay, Godot can't get, can drop data to trigger. What is a convenient way to detect a canceled drag? Not what I'm looking for. Okay, which nodes? This is probably for Godot 3, so it's unhelpful, but so I found this at my GUI container. Number of texture access. Will block and consume mouse input before it reaches the desired target. Make sure all your nodes that should ignore the mouse are set on ignore. Okay, so maybe that's my issue. Maybe I should say, because the only things I want to be selectable for the mouse are the action buttons, which get rendered programmatically onto button container and inventory container, specifically on items margin container and action horizontal container. So theoretically, the inventory title should not ever be something the mouse would click on. Oh, force. Can you expand? No, you can only shrink. What does this say? Force. What? Mouse force pass scroll events. Oh, the scroll wheel events. Filter ignore. So also on the label, do I need to do that? So that's ignore as well. Okay, so let's give this a try. I'm clicking on it. That doesn't seem to be working. So maybe then I also need to do the same for that container, and then maybe this one, but maybe not at the same time. Okay, I'm not getting any printing out. So maybe on the parent inventory, what's the difference between stop? The control will receive mouse movement input events and mouse button input events if clicked on through GUI input. And the control will receive mouse entered and mouse exited signals. These signals or these events are automatically marked as handled. They will not propagate further. pass. The control will receive mouse movement events, and the control will receive. If this control does not handle this event, the parent control, if any, will be considered, and so on until there is no more. Ignore the control and not receive mouse movement input events. And okay, so I probably. I'm not totally sure here. Okay. Godot for every control mode. You may want to read. Uh-oh. You may want to read this, this, and this. Using input event. How does it work? Every input event is originated from the user player, though it's possible to generate an input event and feed them back into the engine, which is useful for gestures. Scenery, blah, blah, blah. First of all, a standard node called in any node that overrides it and hasn't disabled input processing. Any function consumes the event, call set input is handled, and the event will not spread anywhere. Okay, that's good to know. Very similar to JavaScript. Second, it will try to feed the input to the GUI and see if any control can receive it. If so, the control will be called via the virtual function control GUI input. Okay, so let's add that here. Print GUI input and print event. So let's just try this out real quick. We're not getting anything. So let's undo those things. Try this again. Wow. Am I on the right thing here? Inventory UI GUI. So this was working on action button when we had it. Was it not? If I go all the way back here. Yeah, it was. Wait, that is what I call it, right? It was just underscore GUI input. Oh no, on GUI input. See you, Loyal. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it as always. Okay, so it's not underscore GUI input. I don't know why that is saying that that's something that can be. Maybe I can like override it or something, but let's give this another try. No, you're still not doing anything. So far, no one consumed the event. The unhandled input callback will be called if overridden. No one wanted the answer. Finally, if the event was unhandled, it would pass to the next viewport in the tree. Otherwise, it will be ignored. Okay. Kind of read the first one. Hey, Fishy, how's it going? I don't think you've hopped in since like last weekend. It's been like a week or something, maybe longer. So I think you were watching when I was doing leak code stuff, and I've moved on over the last like. No, you're totally good. No worries. Totally good. I understand it. Was it baseball practice, if I remember correctly? Or was it baseball practice or tryouts? How'd it go? Did you do well? Nice. Um, yeah, that's great. So I've moved on from leak code stuff because it was getting kind of boring. And a few months ago, well, actually, several years ago, I started picking up game development, just like messing around with Godot. Why am I looking at the 3.2 docs? That's not what I want to be looking at. Several years ago started picking up game development, and every year since then, for like a couple weeks, I'll just like, get motivation to work on it. And a few months ago, I started building out kind of a game playground for like testing out features, learning more about game development, et cetera, et cetera. And so for the last like 10-ish streams, I've been just like doing Godot coding and building out just some features and stuff. So that's what I'm working on right now. I've been working on a lot of different inventory stuff. Right now I'm trying to figure, oh, there we go. Now I'm getting, I'm trying to figure out how I can drag one item from one inventory and drop it in another. And so I'm just going through the docs right now to figure out what's happening. Oh my goodness. Lots of mouse events now. Is that? Why is this not happening for? Oh, hold on. Am I like for inventory UI here? Am I doing something weird with like hiding the background? I know I was doing something somewhere. Why? I'm just trying to figure out why it's working for the dual inventory. So like, I can't get any of the GUI input stuff to happen here. But then when I hover and open up the dual inventory, it's going crazy. Getting lots of GUI input events, but none of the like can drop events. Which is a start, but this is the same inventory UI that's being used between. Hold on, let me just make sure I haven't done something completely insane here. So inventory UI scene for. Wait, this is initializing, no, just new UI inventory scenes. Player inventory. Inventory UI scene is also, this is the same path, right? UI inventory, inventory UI, UI inventory, inventory. Okay, yeah, it is. So why is it not working the same? No, don't say you could never do game dev. You totally could. You definitely could. You were when I was doing leak code stuff, you were like answering the questions before I could answer them. You can absolutely do game dev. You don't have to want to, but I believe you could. Why isn't this working? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn. You know, it's like any other larger framework, and once you get the hang of it, it gets easier. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot between coding, design work, creating the game, creating assets and design, you know, artwork and sound design, and yeah, there's a lot to think about. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be cool to get into mobile development. I've like dabbled with iOS Swift stuff in the past, but it never really stuck. I've enjoyed React and TypeScript and JavaScript and Node for most of my career. That's probably mostly where I'll stick until I am forced to change for whatever reason. But I'm enjoying the Godot GDScript stuff. It feels like it uses a slightly different part of my brain, which is fun. I'm doing something funny with the okay, so I've got these panel containers which are full here. On the inventory though, the parent panel container, if I move this to full, that looks really bad. I might regret what I'm about to do. No, why is that? Why is that? So you're the full thing. Shouldn't this be a VBox container? Because everything is supposed to be, oh yeah, that's why. So I think this should be a VBox container under this parent container here, where this custom minimum size is 600 by 1000. And then this VBox container can be full. All of this can go under VBox container. Container sizing should be shrink begin, and you need to center, wait. I want you to be full, but I want you to be center. Is my lighting spooky? That's funny. Yeah, I guess it is kind of spooky. Hold on. Oh, that's even worse. Oh my god. Honestly, it's maybe just too bright. I don't know. I've got like a little light here that it's almost October, my favorite month of the year. Can we go back to this color? I mean, it's just dark in here. It's late at night. Got all kinds of colors I can do. Maybe I'll just stick with yellow for now. Some of these colors are like really changing the whole scene here. That's so funny. Okay, we'll just stick with the natural color and maybe turn down the brightness a little bit. I don't know. Now you can see a shadow, but But yeah, I mean, we're coding spooky stuff. All right. So this panel container, I want it to be the full rectangle, but I want the children to be centered. Do I need to do another? I might need another panel container here. This is getting very gross. But if I make this panel container, oh wait, maybe hold on. Let's take this back. If I instead do shrink center, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. So maybe I'll be able to access the great. So that, but this is now I need to update all of these things. So it's container, VBox container, container. I'm assuming this is still going to break something somewhere. Attempt to call add child in base null instance on a null instance inventory UI 60. Item scene container, VBox container, inventory items, items container, items margin container. That should exist. Attempt to call function add child in base null instance on a null instance. My God, please. All right, let's try this one more time. Guess maybe it was something to do with that. Nope. Oh wait, it's happening in here? Oh, line 60, not line 4. Display inventory nodes. Update inventory nodes. This is line 62. Why aren't you updating? Is this, oh my God, is this not the right? No, it is. It's the right file. It's attached to that. And yet it's not updating. Oh no, now it has VBox container. Okay, that's very weird. So in display inventory, item scene, add child. UI, hold on, what is this? No, okay, we're good. So item scene is not valid. Okay, so it's container, VBox container, inventory items, items container, items margin container. Did I spell something wrong here? VBox container. Oh no, VBox container. These are all children of that, no? Container, then VBox container. Let me see if it's updated now. So container, VBox container, all the way down to items. Action container. I feel like this is an issue that's unrelated to what I'm doing. Display inventory. Why don't you exist? Assert items seen does not equal null. Items seen shouldn't be null. Okay. Now I just feel like something weird is going on because okay, well, I had that issue happen where can you not mess with what I'm doing here? Item seen shouldn't be null. Okay. So I'm getting myself all mixed up here. What is the difference between inventory UI? What even is inventory? I've just made changes to a component that I don't think is being used at all. I think it's literally a dead component. So I'm gonna delete it and see if anything breaks. So I added a VBox container in between. Okay, so you are deleted, don't save. All right. So add VBox container where everything is going to live under. This should be full rectangle. Should not have a custom minimum size. VBox container, on the other hand, should center well, actually, I guess begin is fine. It doesn't really matter. So this should be 600,000. We want shrink center, shrink center. I think that's all. There we go. Oh, okay. I'm not getting, wait, now am I getting movement events? I'm getting scroll events. So when I scroll, we're seeing stuff happen. When I click, nothing's happening. But when I open up the dual, oh, now we're only seeing stuff when I scroll too. Okay, so we're making a little bit of progress here. Although, hold on, I wanted to look at one thing. This might be... yeah, I must be hiding the... What am I doing here? Like hiding the background of this somehow. Remember I did that, but I can't remember where. I think it might have been. Anyway, not a huge deal, but we did fix one issue there. And I don't think I'm going to be able to figure out this drag and drop stuff tonight. It's getting late. It's almost 9 p.m. for me, so I'm going to call it an end here. We were on for almost 2 hours, which was longer than I was expecting to be on. As always, I've appreciated everyone that's stuck around and hung out. We got a lot of people coming in and leaving comments today. I'll try to make the next one less spooky, or maybe it's just Halloween time, so we'll keep it going with the spooky vibe. But this was fun. Made some good progress. Got the dual inventory showing. Now we just need to get drag and drop working, and we'll be I think ready to move on to actually adding some like items in, and maybe working on some other features, and can put the UI stuff, UI confusion behind us. But yeah, thanks for hopping on, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next stream, which might be, actually, I'm realizing it might be a few days. It might not be until like Sunday or Monday. Got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. So, a bit of a departure from the almost everyday streaming. But I'll be back. Do not worry. This is not the last one. All right. Again, thanks for hopping on, guys. I'll